Explain Everything Math Project by Will Hardin. First, I'm going to explain the lesson. The first thing about this lesson is what is a parent function. A parent function is the most basic function in a family, and for linear functions, the parent function is f of x equals x. For linear functions, there are three types of transformations: translations, rotations, and reflections. You can think of a translation as a slide, a rotation as a turn, and a reflection as a flip. First, we're going to talk about translations. Translations are where the line will move up or down on the graph. If the y-intercept, or b, is changed, it will be translated. If the y-intercept increases, it's translated up, and if it decreases, it's translated down. The next one we're going to talk about is rotation. A rotation is a turn around a point, and so when the slope of a function is changed, it causes a rotation around the point around the y-intercept. A rotation results in a change of the line's steepness and can either become more steep or less steep. Reflection of a linear function is the final thing we're going to talk about. When the slope is multiplied by -1 in slope-intercept form, the graph is reflected across the y-axis. You can just easily think a reflection is the same thing as a flip. Last but not least, multiple transformations of a linear function is the final concept. It is where multiple transformations happen to a linear function. Here, f of x is first rotated around the point 0, 0, and then translated up 1 unit. This is where the line has been translated or transformed multiple times. Problem 1. Graph f of x, then reflect the graph of f of x across the y-axis. Write a function g of x to describe the new graph. So first, I graphed the function f of x, which is f of x equals 1/3 x minus 6, which is here. And then I flipped it, or reflected, f of x across the y-axis to get g of x here. And then I wrote a function for the new graph. G of x equals negative 1/3 x minus 6. This is because the slope is multiplied by -1 to come out with negative 1/3 x, which is the new slope carrying the line from left to right, downward from left to right instead of upward from left to right. Problem 2. Graph f of x and g of x, then describe the transformations from the graph of f of x to the graph of g of x. F of x equals x, and g of x equals 2x minus 2. So first, I graphed f of x here, and then I graphed g of x here. And shown here is a translation down 2 units. First is a translation down 2 units, and then it is a rotation to become steeper. Problem 3. For large parties, a restaurant charges a reservation fee of $25 plus $15 per person. The total charge for a party of X people is f of x equals 15 plus 25. How will the graph of this function change if the reservation fee is raised to $50? If the per person charge is lowered to 12. So first we're going to do what would happen if the fee is raised to $50, the reservation fee. So I wrote out both of the functions. Here's the original, and then here's the new one. And here is a change in the y-intercept, and it is going to be a translation up 25 units because there is a difference of 25 and it becomes larger. Now I'm going to explain what would happen if the per person charge is lowered to $12. So here I've written both of the functions, new and old, and I have boxed around the slope. This is because there's a change in the slope, which results in a rotation. This rotation is around the point 0.25 to become less steep than the original. Problem 4. The number of chaperones on a field trip must include one teacher for every 4 students, plus 2 parents total. The function describing the number of chaperones for a trip of x students is f of x equals 1/4 x plus 2. How will the graph change if the number of parents is reduced to 0 and if the number of teachers is raised to 1 for every 3 students? First, we're going to explain how the graph will change if the number of parents is reduced to 0. So here I have boxed a change in the y-intercept. This is a translation down 2 units because the y-intercept becomes smaller. Now, I'm going to explain what would happen if the number of teachers is raised to 1 for every 3 students. So here I have boxed the slope, and this is because there is a change from 1/4 to 1/3. This is going to be a rotation, and it's going to be a rotation about the point 0, 2. This here is a rotation, and the function rotates and becomes steeper.